Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen and life coach Linda Armstrong here. Today is Friday, March the 1st, 2019. It's 4 p.m. in New York, 1 p.m. in Los Angeles, 9 p.m. in London, Sydney, Australia. Good morning. It's 8 o'clock. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And while Linda's dogs settle down in the background and get happy again, we're just going to kind of get into a mellow mode and wait for my computer to catch up because I got all these things going on at the same time, but it's all good. No problem. It's just a bunch of random talk about nothing. Linda, how you doing? We haven't talked in a week. How's it going?
It's been a very busy week.
A good one, I hope.
Yeah, good one.
That's good. Yeah, that's the main thing.
Listen to those dogs. I just have to send this message to somebody.
That's all right. Take your time. No problem. Maybe just send, text to the dog saying everything's going to be okay. By the way, for those who are tuning in live stream, this is also a Q&A, so feel free to type in any questions you might have, because we'll be happy to address them, bring them up, talk about them, and so forth. Until we get people actually typing questions, and we'll just kind of take on some topics ourselves. And something I've been doing lately, Linda, is just kind of looking at some of the stuff that people post on Facebook, because that always kind of makes fun stuff to talk about. Not just the posts, but the comments, the answers that people give. Because I don't know about you, I think the answers are almost as interesting as the comments or the posts, the people asking for help. Help me with this, help me with that.
Right.
Just because different people have different understandings about how the law of attraction works and what's the best way to be a deliberate creator and what's the best way to, what are the best methods to use and all that kind of thing. So you get lots of different viewpoints and so forth. So yes. That's why I've enjoyed going through those. One of the first ones that I see as I'm looking here is one that we actually touched on briefly this morning, but it's kind of an interesting one. Somebody seemed to be in a complaining mode. They said, "Is it me, or has this page turned into a relationship job-seeking therapy page?" And we kind of were chuckling about that this morning because what's wrong with doing therapy? That's the thing that I was wondering. But some of the comments that people were leaving.
But you know what? I think I get that person. You talk. What page is that? The Law of Attraction.
It's in the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group. Yeah.
Because I happened to see a comment that, and you commented on it too, about what I see. I don't even go on that page to tell you the truth because it's people complaining about everything.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of that.
They're never going to get law of attraction if they just keep complaining and telling those same old stories. So that person who wrote that is probably tired of seeing that kind of post on that page when it should be more about how's this working for you? How can we get this working for you? This is how you'll find the help in your life by following these teachings and not like complaining about everything. Because I tell you, the first part of awakening is realizing it's nobody else's fault.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's
what
very
happens
true.
with you is nobody else's fault. It's a vibration. You brought it in. And people don't want to hear that. But when you wake up to it, well, that's where the magic is. Because then you realize, oh, shoot, okay, I created this. I could uncreate it. How do I do that? Okay, well, maybe I'll pay attention to some of these teachings of Abraham or Neville Goddard or the many million people. Joe Vitale, I love Joe Vitale. He's got a lot of great books and courses that are so inexpensive that there's no excuse not to do them. Know what I mean? To really get some help, get a coach like any one of us who maybe are on the show with you all the time, right?
Yeah.
So I saw that and I thought, I don't really go on Facebook that much anymore.
Yeah.
But when I do, and I guess I might have saw something and maybe, I don't know how it brought me to that, maybe because you were tagged on it or something. I don't know.
Could be. Well, it's also gotten a lot of activities, so that can also do it. But yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it probably just came in my feed because of people I know that might be on it.
Right.
So anyway, I was like,
It's interesting how we all have different reactions to it.
That's one of the reasons I don't go on Facebook. People just want to moan about
there's a lot of
life.
it.
I mean,
yeah.
It's really too much negativity for me anyway.
I hear you. Yeah. Everybody, I guess, can kind of look at it differently. I know that a lot of people go on for help, and you're right. There are a lot of people who don't really want to be helped. They just want to complain.
Right.
They
so
just
it depends on how it's asked.
Right.
It's like, I haven't been able to empower myself into sorting through this thing that's going on in my life. Anybody have any suggestions? Oh yeah, try virtual reality. Oh, try this, explain a process. but not like it's this one's fault, it's that one's fault, my life is miserable, change it.
Yeah.
It might sound like I'm being heartless right now, but I say it with the most compassion that you have to change your own life.
This is true.
Stop blaming everybody else and see what is it within you that's allowing that to be in your existence. Where are you not believing in yourself? Where do you not have the confidence to stand up for yourself or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
My dogs they're like...
Well, see, they're the ones that are trying to post about all the things that are going wrong in their lives right now.
I think they're saying, wake up, people!
Oh, that's funny.
Listen to my mommy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, certainly everybody who's posting about all the things that are going wrong are focusing on the wrong thing. I sometimes skip them. I don't let it affect me one way or another, but often I'll respond to them, and my response is usually along the lines of, okay, well, you just outlined all the things that are going wrong. Tell me what's going right. I get some interesting responses out of that one.
That's the comment. That's one comment I saw that you commented back for that person.
Yeah.
What's going right.
Yeah. And sometimes they ignore it.
Say something about change the story, which is a good response.
Yeah.
But, a lot of times those people they're only going to draw on people who want to most likely going to want to commiserate with them.
Which is what they get a lot
when
of.
they're not getting that, so when everybody starts posting all this helpful stuff, they're going to have to leave because it's not what they're there for.
Yeah, that's right. Doesn't it suck when life gives you exactly what you asked for and it's not what you want?
You mean I have to start taking responsibility and do something about it?
God forbid. We can't have that.
Yeah.
It's true. That's exactly what happens. I do like it, though, sometimes when people, you throw that kind of comment at them, so what's going right? And every once in a while you get somebody who says, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Because we get into these little tunnels, these little negative spiral tunnels. And when you're in them, sometimes you can't even see what's outside, So to have somebody say, hey, there's good things going on, it's like, oh, God, I completely forgot about that.
Unfortunately, because it feels comfortable, because it's what you know. But you got to get out of that comfort zone, especially when it's not it's not doing anything for you. It's not making anything better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To have all your friends say, yeah, that guy was an asshole. Does it change anything?
What's really wild is how often in our culture we do that anyway. Not so much partly in, personal conversations, but in like theater or the movies, there's all this angst and anger and fear and frustration being thrown back and forth across the screen and, whatever. And everybody who watches it is like entranced and enthralled by, oh, wow, where's this fight going to go next? And I think to myself, you really like watching that? I mean, I'm kind of like you in the sense that when I hear about people who are watching like a horror movie or a violent, video game, Game of Thrones kind of a thing, I say to myself, yeah, that's really what you want to do? Because, it doesn't turn me out at all. But, hey, whatever floats your boat,
It depends on how you look at it, though. I watch a lot of that stuff.
Do you really?
I'm a huge, Walking Dead fan and a whole bunch of things. But the thing is, but you have to be aware of, you are in, a hypnotic trance when you're just letting yourself be given all of this stuff. And that's why you'll find, if you binge a show, my husband and I will binge a show for a couple of days and we're barely falling asleep because we're I think I can do one more. But then it winds up, it's in your dreams. Your brain's now trying to process this and it starts coming into your dreams for a couple of days. Right? But you know what? It depends on how you look at it. It's yeah, I'm going to watch this because you know what? It is entertaining and you do want to see that person rise above and conquer whatever. Overcome the aliens or, it's entertaining.
Sometimes it is, yeah.
It is entertaining.
So some of them are,
but it depends on how
other people, Yeah.
It depends on what you do with that energy, how you look at it. It's like watching the news and and plus the other thing too is, we have to ignore my dogs, is that you think that, that it's fiction. Somebody wrote it. It's a story.
Yes.
It's not like watching the news and being brainwashed with that stuff.
See, now I have the same reaction to that. I have the same reaction to that you have to Game of Thrones or one of these others. Because to me,
you think it's entertaining?
Well,
You don't mind it?
well, to a degree. I mean, I can tell when I'm kind of sliding over the border into getting frustrated, and that's when I turn it off. Well, actually,
All right.
I don't even watch it on television. I watch, I read stuff online and so forth. I don't actually watch the television. I actually watched more television news this week just by watching the Michael Cohen hearings than I have in the last 5 years. So, I mean, that was the most television I've watched. But
you're aware of it, though. So you're
yeah.
aware of when it starts pulling you too far the wrong way.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Because, well, first of all, I was a political scientist. That was my degree. So I have some experience, paying close attention to this stuff and being in over my head and drowning in it. So I know where that end is like, and I recognize it now, and I know when to stay away from it. And I kind of use it as a way to practice putting boundaries up, if that makes sense. Because when you're being inundated by this stuff, can you put up something that says, you know what, I'm just not going to react to that? Yeah, I see it. Yeah, it's there, but I'm not going to get upset about that. I'm just going to find a good way to look at it.
But last week you mentioned how you don't even you did realize it, but maybe not consciously, that you're sending like love to different situations and stuff like that. Like I know some psychic mediums who will watch it purposely so that they can get a tune on where energy needs to be sent and then send it.
Wow, good for them. Yeah, I can't say I go quite that far. I think that's kind of the direction I'm aiming toward. I hadn't really thought about it in those terms. I just use it as a way to kind of practice my own thing. Like, we all have we have so much input coming in. We have more data coming in than anyone ever has previously in history. There's just it's a data overload situation. So we have lots and lots and lots of opportunity to practice. What am I going to focus on? What don't I want to focus on? I mean, certainly we can walk away from something. We can turn the TV or the computer off or whatever. But even when you do that, there's still plenty of data coming in. I mean, it's just everywhere. You can hardly get away from it anymore. So you have to at some point kind of build up the mental defenses. And that's the way I look at it. I look at it like I'm practicing deciding. I'm going to filter that out and I'm going to let that in. Here's what I don't prefer. Here's what I prefer. And see how well I can actually stick to that. Right. And then when I run into something I don't prefer, this is the real challenge. Can I find a way to see it that I prefer? And I can't always find that, but sometimes I can. And when I can, that's a victory. That's something I feel like celebrating. Like, yeah, I found a good way to look at that I didn't see before.
And what if you added energy to it? Like, what if it actually turned out that this blah, 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 right? Maybe you can feed that energy for the possibilities to open up. Yeah. Right? Instead of all that fear that goes towards the doom and gloom that they're projecting, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that doom and gloom can get you, but it's fun when you can turn it around. I'm trying to remember what the situation was. That story's gone. It'll come back at some point, but there was a story where it was like what you were just describing, where you're faced with this thing, you see it in a different way, you throw it back in a different way, and the other person, it's kind of like they got a little electric shock, like, wait a minute, what just happened here? I just got knocked off of my angry spiral that I was on.
Right. Yeah.
Which is good, kind of shake things up a little bit, and in a positive way rather than in a negative way. Because so often, that's the thing that always amazes me too, that I do it and that everybody else does it. We push back in a negative way against things that we don't like, expecting that they're going to change.
Well, yeah, and that's why mindfulness is so important, because when you can just be with it, and even send love to it, that's my thing, send love to it, then you open up an opportunity for that energy to shift into something better than where it's at.
And I remember you talked about that last week, how you'll be walking down the street and you'll just send some love there, and send some love there, and send some love there. You just do it like a regular thing. That's pretty cool. How long have you been doing that?
That's just normal.
This is normal. So
long time.
It's just built-in habit. That's pretty cool.
Long time.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm lovemylife.coach, because it's all about the energy of love,
Yeah. Well, speaking of Facebook posts, I saw one that I responded to just shortly before the show. Somebody was complaining, and I won't even use the phrase they used. It was a very negative phrase to describe a woman who is not smiling. And we'll just leave the phrase off the table. But she was complaining that she is that kind of person. How do you deal with the fact that other people see you as that kind of person and you see yourself as that kind of person? So it's kind of along the lines of what that other post was complaining about. Here's somebody asking for, I want all this sympathy about what I'm feeling and so forth. Well, what I typed back to her was, first of all, drop that negative line because it's not doing you any good. And then secondly, she made one little comment in there about how it's awkward to smile. And you could tell she was referring to situations where there's some guy who's coming on to her or something like that, and she feels awkward about smiling, and so she gets accused of being this negative thing. And so I said to her, well, why are you
Can't
just...
you smile without being, can't you smile without it having been at an advance? I smile
Exactly.
at everything.
Well, that was
I smile
it.
at everyone.
That's what I said. I literally made a point. Whenever somebody comes in with a few feet of me, I smile and say hello. If they're too far away, I'll just smile and nod, and I'll just do it with everybody, and regardless of who they are. And I even told the story about how one time I was taking one of my walks, and that particular day, I just didn't feel like doing it. I was just kind of tired. I needed to just kind of take a break. But everybody who was passing me was smiling and greeting me. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? And I took out my phone and put it in selfie mode and saw that I had this smile on my face that I didn't know that I had because I've been practicing this thing for so long.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
And that shifted your whole energy, right?
It did. It did. It shifted my energy in a huge way. Well, that practice has really paid off for me. I told her about that, and I got the kind of reaction that I like to get. Like, oh, wow, that's a great idea. I never thought of that. So, there's a case where somebody kind of...
So what would she be afraid of? The guy's going to think I'm interested when I'm not?
Well, you know what?
I'm sorry, I'm not interested.
You know what I think happens? I think that people kind of categorize stuff so that if you're going to have an interaction with somebody of the opposite sex, it has to be construed as something that's either a potential advance or a rebuff. It can't be just, here's another human being. They forget the human being part of the thing. And then they figure, well, since it's somebody, of the opposite sex or even the same sex, depending on who you are, somebody who is in that potential situation, that's the only kind of person I can respond to. I can't respond. I'm not allowed to respond to anybody else out there. I can only respond to potential sex partners. Like, really? That's all of life right there? But that's what people get caught up in. They get caught in that little tiny globe that they set up for themselves, and then they get upset.
And then, of course, that's going to be the experience then, because that's what they're expecting.
Exactly. And then
in the meantime, they're just missing out on so much interaction with humans.
Right. Yeah. Which is where the cool stuff happens.
Energy. Yeah.
And the best part is, and this is something I pointed out to this woman, if she changes her pattern over to just being happy and friendly to all people, she's going to find that the ones who complain about her non-smile are going to go away, and they're going to be replaced by people who just appreciate the fact that she smiles, including some potential partners. Right. And she really liked that idea a lot.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Oh, so she wants a potential partner.
Oh, she does. She just doesn't like the way she's being treated.
Because she doesn't smile.
Because she doesn't smile, yeah.
Let's start smiling and see what people, if you like what you treated better.
It really shows now how we get caught in these little tiny paradigms we create for ourselves, and we get stuck in them. And then
if the opposite doesn't work, then back it up a little bit. Like try different things. Yeah. If that's not working, try something else.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm impatient. I think I have no patience today. Sorry.
That's all right. Well, in a sense, that's one of those things you really shouldn't have patience about. In a sense, there's really no point in being patient about, putting yourself into a place where every time something happens, you lose. I don't have a whole lot of patience for that at any time. It's like, I want to change that as soon as humanly possible. Whenever I notice it, whenever I discover it.
Because really, I mean, everybody has the power to create the life that they want, to make change in their life, no matter what.
Yeah. That's a powerful thing. I mean, just even knowing that. Even before you've taken any steps, that's a powerful thing. Just to know that. Yeah. Just to feel it.
And part of it, too, what's coming to me now as well, I'm hearing, is that that's when you really just got to, what I've been working with a lot lately is just really getting into that space of letting go and trusting that I have support that's going to guide me, right? So if you feel stuck, you don't know what to do, what do you have to lose? Just give it up. Like let go and let God, or whatever you want to call spirit, source, whatever you want to call that energy. Why not just let it go? Even for a couple of days, it won't kill you.
Yeah, right. It won't be the end of your life.
See if you notice anything that shifts with that. Because I'm really been playing with that a lot. I think we talked about it a little bit, not getting sucked into the ego mind, letting the soul self come through. And that's really all about trusting that you have support that's going to help take you some. So if you feel, like, and sometimes I guess people wait till they're desperate to give it up and then everything changes, right?
Oh yeah, that's common.
Yeah. So we want to do that before we're desperate.
Right. Why go through the angst if you can avoid it?
Why work the energy the wrong way so
Yes.
long and for so far until you're like, I give up. Give up early. It sounds easy. I know it's not easy, but because we're so used to trying to figure it all out, but we're just so limited in trying to figure it all out that when we can open up some space for the unknown to show up, then it makes everything so much easier. You feel a lot lighter. And then, of course, inspiration comes in.
That certainly describes what I've been learning for myself over the last year to a year and a half. This idea of just letting go. Let go, let go, let go, let go. For my own self, I'm kind of I'm not a micromanager. I'm sort of an overactive doer. Like, I want to get from point A to point B, so I'll figure out something to do, and I'll just do it like crazy, even if I'm not getting to point B. No, I have to get this right. I have to, everything's got to be just perfect. And then even if I make everything just perfect, I still don't get to point B. Because I got so hooked up in, oh no, I gotta do the doing, that I lose track of where the path went. It's like, oh no, the path's over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to that too, because I'm able to get a lot done, but you just have to kind of feel the energy. Like, if you can have the presence of mind to feel when your body's getting kind of tight in the doing. Yeah. Then you're like, wait a minute. Drop your shoulders. You're like, oh God, I didn't realize I was like this. Mm-hmm. Okay, so do I have to get all of that done today? Right. Does it have to be done exactly that way? Like, maybe there's another way. And then when you chill, then the perfect solution comes in, which saves you 5 hours.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. That's exactly what happens. Yeah. And I think it's useful to know what your own signals are about, here's the signal that tells me I'm trying to hold it in, like you said, trying to do too much with it. For me, it's like tightness in my jaw, my gut getting into a gnarl. Those are my 2 primaries. If I feel either one of those going on, I've gotten a lot better now at just kind of stopping and saying, well, I don't know what I'm doing to have gotten there necessarily, but at least I know I can just kind of relax and breathe for a moment. And then while I'm relaxing and breathing, then somewhere along the line there, I kind of get to the point of, like what you just said, will the world end if this doesn't get done today? What's the worst possible scenario that comes out of this not being done today? And then usually one thing leads to another after that.
And actually, I could even feel sometimes where I'm like, God, I'm kind of tired. Like for me to continue creating this right now from this energy, I could probably do it, first of all, a lot easier and better in less time if I just like chill, watch TV, get a good night's sleep, and come back to it.
Oh, yeah.
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 But what I was going to say while you were talking about that is, so sometimes people just don't realize it until they got the headache or something physical turns on. But so maybe check in with yourself 3 times a day. Like have an alarm on your phone. Like I do my angel love puffs, like breathing in that angel love 3 times a day. So maybe you have an alarm goes off 3 times a day and you just want to feel what you're feeling through, and I talk about the vibometer. Like, where's my vibe? Is it going in the low or is it going into the high? Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and the more you do it and you catch yourself doing good or higher, you're like, all right, this is pretty cool. I'm actually doing better than I thought I was. And the more you can feel what that feels like, then when it goes like this, you're like, oh, hold on a second. What just happened? Yeah. It's just really getting in tune with your own vibration is what's needed. Exactly. So that because I could feel it so easy now, especially over these past couple of months where I've really been working with the soul ego stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to create a course around it. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to get it across. I could feel it like almost, I could feel it right away. And if I don't, it's really only a little bit into it when I actually do. Mm. It's not like to an extreme. Right. Used to be, it would be at the extreme point where I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? I can't believe this. I was doing fine sometime. I don't know. Maybe it was yesterday. I don't even know because you get sucked into it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling very well.
I've
Actually tried that idea of setting up a schedule. I actually still have an alarm that pops up on my computer at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, saying just appreciate something something good that's going on. And I'm finding I ignore that. It pops up and I just hit the OK button and move it on. So I'm not actually taking advantage of it. What I'm also finding is that I really want to just kind of notice it when it's happening. So, and that's what I'm doing as a result. I'm actually noticing when it's happening. I'm noticing when I'm getting into that place. So there have been a few times this week where, for good parts of the day, I found myself resisting doing this main task I needed to do. And it made me uncomfortable not only to do the task, but to not do the task. They both felt uncomfortable.
Right.
And that usually in the past, that would have been like frantic time. That would have been a time to, force myself to do something or whatever. This week, what I did was each time I was feeling one of those, I got up and took a break. I just left and came back later and found I was still in the same space. So I got up and took another break. Literally, I was not allowing myself to do anything until I found myself in a better feeling place. And if I couldn't get into a better feeling place, then I found something to do that would get me in a better feeling place. And then I go to try it again. Nope, I'm still not there. And I walk. Literally, I was so far against the way I normally do things that it was almost disorienting. But when I did it that way, and then I finally got to the point where I felt good about doing this task, which I was afraid was going to take me about 5 or 6 hours to do, I got done in a half an hour because I was in a good place.
What you just illustrated was what's happening globally on the planet, okay?
Okay.
There's this energy shifting going on. And right now, especially as we come into March, there's so much of letting go of old programs. We're letting it go. But part of letting it go is bringing it up and re-experiencing the uncomfortable energy around it as it's going out. So if you can have the presence of mind to say, oh man, that's that old program. That's like how I operated like that for a long time. But now you're like, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to go there.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's something you're letting go of.
Yeah.
And now you can step into a new way of being.
Yeah.
And that's happening not even just with old patterns and programs that don't support you, even people changing whole careers or different paths. Like people are more and more waking up. It's an awakening, and feeling pulled to, like their soul is pulling them to do something else or do what you're doing maybe in a different way, or noticing, boy, I'm just not, maybe you have like a huge house and, but you never see your kids, right? You're working your ass off, you're giving your family everything, but you're miserable. Well, that's not going to really serve your family, is it?
Not really, no.
No. So then people start maybe waking up to that and like, you know what? I'm tired of killing myself. I'm going to shift myself in a way where I can actually be with my family more. Maybe I take my business and do it at home. There's a lot of shifting going on big time, but the good news is that at this point, the energy is with us to really propel us in a direction we want to go in. It's coming up right now for a lot of people, and if not, like kind of rolling into it over the next month or so.
Yeah, I'm intrigued because you mentioned the same thing last week. Well, you said the same thing last week that particularly going into March and into the spring, we're entering this period where all this transition and this improvement and stuff is going on. And I know you are very intuitively in touch with the energy of yourself, people around you, the world and so forth. I love the idea of what you're feeling. I don't feel the same thing, so I'm wondering, what else can you tell me? This is cool. I want to know more about this. What's going on?
See if you can start noticing it. See if you can just start noticing it. Or ask Spirit, show me where this is happening so I can kind of see it for myself. Okay. And maybe you notice you're in a conversation with some friends, and here's this friend of yours saying, I'm kind of getting tired of what I've been doing. I really feel drawn to do. Oh, you're like, oh, there it is. That's what she was talking about. It's happening to my friend Tom, or I don't know. Just see what you notice. I guess I notice it a lot because I'm kind of in this energy world. Yeah. And most of the people I come in contact with are too. So, I don't know. But it's happening.
What I am learning, you and I have been doing podcasts now for 8-9 months, something like that. And what I am learning is whenever I try to get you to tell me what's it like, you always have trouble telling me what it's like because you're not really sure what it's like. But you can tell me, well, you can find it, you can feel it, you can experience it over here, and which is good. I mean, I like that. But I'm getting used to that pattern.
My experience is my experience. Like you.
Yeah.
The thing is, even with everyone I work with, I'm like, listen, this is what I feel and what I suggest, but you got to find your own truth. I'm never going to tell anyone I work with this is how it is. Mm-hmm. Because you have to find your own truth for it to be your own truth. It can't be somebody else's.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just kind of conditioned to that. Because, I think everybody can find their own examples and see their own experience and find their own way of perceiving something that works for them.
Yeah, well, part of this, I think, is just, I'm speaking for myself right now. Part of this is me learning to just let go of my preconceptions that I can't experience this. I don't know how to do this. I can't feel this. I don't know how to make it work. I don't know any of this stuff. Letting go of that stuff takes some doing all by itself.
I have to say, well, you've changed so much around this thing with energy. Because I remember, if we listen back to the first couple of podcasts, I would be like, I don't really quite understand that question. What do you mean, what is energy?
I remember that, yes.
I'm like, it was like we weren't understanding each other's language for a little bit, right? And now I'm doing the etheric weaver with you, and you're like, I feel my aura out like 3 feet.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. I'm loving it, but that was surprising.
Or even when I gave you that healing session, it was early on, and you could feel the energy, even though you're in Connecticut and I'm in New York, right?
Yeah, that was
and you're
surprising.
Like, you're trying to tell me you don't know how to feel energy, but look, you just felt it. You wanted some kind of, that's funny. That's what it is. You wanted some kind of almost a scientific explanation for it. Like the way my son would want to explain something for me and have me want to get it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like in one ear out the other.
Right.
Because, because I don't have to understand the mechanics of it to know it. But you like the mechanics of stuff.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, that's always been my best way in the past anyway. That was my best way to understand the world, to understand what was going on. So that was always my go-to. What's been happening for me, particularly in the last 6 to 8 months, working with you here on the podcast, is I'm learning this other, I'm going to call it another language. This energy world is kind of like another language. And as you learn that language, it's kind of like immersion. If you want to learn French, for instance, the best way to learn French is to go to France and live there and talk with people. You just kind of immerse yourself in it. That's what's happening here. I'm getting an immersion in this.
You know what I would say? It's deeper than that. It's more of just a remembering of your original language.
Okay.
Because, you already know this, and that's why it's developing quite easily for you now that you've put some attention on it, right? Mm-hmm. Where your attention goes.
We know how that is important. That's very important.
Yeah, everything, it grows, right?
Yep.
What you focus on. So, but, and plus you have a sister who's really highly tuned in, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not that you weren't, it's just that you weren't acknowledging that side of you because maybe the thinker side wanted to figure it out or have an explanation for it.
Possibly.
But there's like no explanation for it. Like when I hear things when I'm doing a session, like I can't explain exactly how I hear it. I just do somehow know it or hear it or feel it,
Right.
I actually can't describe to you how it is for me.
Which makes sense because what we're talking about is not actually a physical world thing. It's a connection to the rest, to the non-physical, to the spiritual, to the source energy, to whatever we call it.
Which is what we're all come from, right? Right? It's our true nature. So that's why I call it like a remembering. So you're just kind of remembering aspects of yourself that already know this.
Yeah, that's the Richard Bach concept from the book Illusions. I think, was it teaching learning is remembering what you already know. Teaching is reminding others that they know it. And doing is demonstrating that you know it.
Oh, what book is that? I don't know that. Illusions?
You never read Illusions? Oh, I can't believe you never read Illusions. Oh, definitely.
Who's that? Richard Bach, you said?
Richard Bach, yeah. He was the author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. That was his first book. and Illusions.
Think it
was
comes
the
on
second or
audio?
third.
I hope so.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah. I mean, it's that book's been around for a long time, so I'm sure there's an audio book of it. There's got to be. But great book. Yeah, that's a fun read. It's not deep at all. It's written in a fictional form, and it's just you'll fly through the story. It's great. It's about as easy a read as Jonathan Livingston Seagull is. It's along the same lines. But it tells the story of how Richard is flying in the Midwest in a biplane, barnstorming the way they used to do, and giving rides on cornfields and so forth. And he meets up with this other guy who also is a barnstormer, but this guy is a messiah. In other words, he is an advanced soul. He's an advanced being who has decided to fly along with Richard, and then he's teaching him stuff all along the way that are of a spiritual nature. Very fun.
Cool.
Very fun. Yeah. The subtitle is Illusions: The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah.
All right. I'm going to go right on Audible right after this call.
Yeah. I recommend that one to anyone. All of our listeners, I definitely recommend that. That is a wonderful book. That book was one of the first books I remember reading that actively started to open this door for me. This door of what we're exploring and talking about right now. Because it was the first time that I read something that was spiritually oriented that didn't rub me the wrong way. This is around the same time I'd given up on the Christian church. So I had this void that had automatically been created, and I had nothing to fill it with. And this is the first thing that came along that, oh, wow, that actually resonates with me. Kind of like, Abraham resonates with you or something like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Really good.
Well, I remember when I met this one person, it was a long time ago. And this guy, he was talking about spiritual type stuff, not religious in any way. And he taps on me, goes, this is a nice, it's a pretty body, but it's not you. I'm like, what? It's not me? What do you mean it's not me? It's like I almost can't remember this, but I think I didn't see myself as the soul. I saw myself just strictly as the person, the body.
Yeah.
And that was like a remembering, because I didn't even know what it meant, but it was like, it hit me like, boom, wake up call, Yeah. Like, ooh, that's okay. Kind of find out about that. Oh, look, I got my dogs going.
That's all right.
And I did boom. They're like, what?
Well, we already know how powerful you are energetically, so all you have to do is just boom, and the energy just flies off in all directions. That's probably what happened here.
Okay.
I mean, the good news is that you haven't affected the electronics, so that's the main thing right now.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Well, I'm not using a mic, but I do want to buy a new one and try it out again.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well, that's good.
I'll probably get another one.
So let's see. What else can we talk about where law of attraction and deliberate creation is concerned? Well, today is Friday, and it's Friday the 1st of March. And I was remarking this morning how, wow, March is here already. What happened to January, February? That ties into something that I was talking about with, who was I talking with? Steve Rowell, I think. Steve, who does the Thursday afternoon show and the Tuesday morning show with me. We were talking about how time flies when we're really enjoying doing the podcast, for instance. And I've been kind of working on the idea, can I take times or, events where I'm really enjoying myself and slow the time down?
Sure you can.
And I've been working on it. I haven't got it down as slow as I want to get it to, but I've made at least some progress along that line. So I'm glad you said that. How do you go about doing that? How do you get yourself to slow it down?
I've actually been speeding up time, not slowing it down.
Oh, you've been doing the other. Oh, okay. You're going the other direction. All right.
Like if I'm late to get to an appointment that's at my karate school and I'm still home and it's like about a half an hour away, I'll be like I'll be doing like a process to get me there quicker than I physically know I can. And I've done it a few times where I've gotten there in like 15 minutes, where it's easy, a 25 to 30 minute ride. Yeah. And so you can explain how it happens. So I've worked with it that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's slowing time down. That's really slowing time down, because you slowed it down long enough so that you can get there at your normal speed.
Yeah, I stretched it so I can get there within a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
My sister told a story one time that I loved, how she needed to, she was in, at the time, she was living with my parents in southwestern, well, not totally southwestern, but central southwestern Virginia at a lake where my parents lived, and then she needed to get to D.C., which was about normally about a 4.5, 5 hour trip, something like that, from where she was. And she needed to get there in half the time. She didn't actually try to slow time down. What she did is she tapped into her spirit guides and said, I need to get there fast. And they said, no problem. Just hit the floor, with your foot, and then we'll tell you when to slow down. And so she basically let her spirit guides tell her where the speed traps were so she'd get to DC on time.
Yeah, totally. Did I mention that Greg Braden experience with you with
You
time?
mentioned Greg Braden. I don't remember precisely what the experience was.
I don't remember which of the books it was or courses of his where he was talking about taking a group of people to see I don't know if he was in Egypt or somewhere, like he takes people to these different places and they look at these sacred texts and different things.
Okay.
And they were on a ride, which would be like, say it was a 10-hour bus ride. I don't even know. I don't remember. Okay. And I'm really bad at telling the story exactly how it was told. So you'd have to find out from Greg Braden to know for real.
Okay.
But basically what happened was the people on the bus, some of them had been on this trip before and some of them were brand new to it. So Greg and all of the people that he was with on this group that he took to this other country to go see whatever it is they're seeing, we're talking about the experience. We're talking about the place where they go into and what they loved about it, and just everyone, the people who hadn't been there yet, were so in the energy of being at the place. And then they didn't even know it. They just were, because they're just talking about all the stories and they're so excited to actually get to the place.
Right.
And then the bus stops and the bus driver is outside and he's looking around and he's looking at his watch and he's looking around and they're like, what's going on? So Greg Braden goes out and asks him, what, is there a problem? Why did we stop? What's going on? And the guy's like, we shouldn't be here. He's like, what do you mean? He goes, we shouldn't be here yet. We should be like hours away from here, but we're here. So because they were so in the energy of being there, they were there.
Oh, that's wild. That's a great story.
Well, I'd have to Google that and see if I could find out which of his, it's probably, I don't know if it's something I saw of his online or if it's one of his, audio courses that I have. I don't even know. Yeah.
That's cool though. I mean, cause they managed to slow down time while they were having their conversation that they slowed it down for the bus driver. That's pretty darn good.
Or they just managed to move through time to be where they ought to be.
Yeah.
Way earlier.
Yeah.
Is that slowing down time?
That's one way to express it, I guess, is to express it as slowing it down. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just kind of slipping through it really quickly.
I have no idea. Yeah.
All I know is that if I was that bus driver, I can understand why he'd be confused because he doesn't expect to be there that quickly, and all of a sudden he looks out. Yeah. Wait a minute, we're here.
Right.
How did that happen?
Yeah. And plus, he probably has no clue what this group is all about.
Right. Well, they're just a bunch of nutcases who do all this spiritual nonsense, right?
And I love hearing stories like that from Greg Braden because he's very much. Do you ever listen to any of his stuff?
I don't know his stuff. No, you've mentioned it, but I don't really know him.
He's so much about the science. Greg Lipton, like they'll do things together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he likes to blend the metaphysical with the science because he's a what is he? I guess he's not a biologist. I mean, he's a science, started out in science and he got into all this metaphysical stuff. So he blends both worlds.
Okay. I'll definitely have to check him out then. Braden, Braden.
Actually, he has a course called, what is it? The Human Experience or something. Gotta try and remember. I could probably find it. And that, you would love this. I'm going to find it. Well, I'm going to just take a quick look at something because I know where I can find it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to, when we're done here, I'll go, first I always like to look through my local library just because that's my way to preview stuff. If I find something I like, then I go buy it. But, I'll see if I can find it in the library first.
This one particular thing, it's a course of his. It's like a 8-week course and it's on some, here, I'm going to find it. I have it. Human by Design.
Human by Design. All right.
Yeah. With Greg Braden. And what's the network? There's a network that this is a part of that he does it with, but I can't see that. But anyway,
That's all right. That's right. That gives us enough to find it. So listeners can find
Human
it
by
too.
Design, and he'll go and he talks about how there's this missing, maybe not the missing link. Let me get out of here. Find out where you are. There you are. About when like what is it, Cro-Magnon man, and then humans as we know it now.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened and how that was some kind of intervention from aliens or whatever that changed the whole DNA code.
Wow.
Like, you would love this. You got to get that.
That
I am
does
so
sound
bad at
interesting.
trying to say the science back to you. I could never do it. But I've absorbed everything he said. Like, I know it inside of me somewhere.
Yeah.
I just can't articulate it.
Yeah.
You would love this. It's not an expensive program. You can just get it and you just.
Yeah.
I did it live when they first recorded it.
Uh-huh.
So it's probably now just down. I don't know if he's doing it live anymore or if
I'm
it's
sure
just
I
a
could find
recorded
it.
thing.
Yeah, I'm sure I can find it. That's not a difficulty. But yeah, I'll check that out.
Anything from him. I mean, he's got that famous clip too, which I love of his, where a tumor shrinks away to nothing.
Oh, the video. Yeah, the
2 minutes.
Chinese doctors who were, that's very
he's
cool.
the one who brought that out to everybody, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah, now I know. Now I have the face because I remember his face in that video.
He's got like gray hair that kind of sticks out.
Yeah, it's all sticking out. Yeah, right. Okay.
And he does a lot of great stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, that video, and for anyone who hasn't seen that video, just do a search on YouTube for the tumor shrinking in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating to watch a tumor disappear in front of your eyes on an MRI. Just amazing.
Right. Which just leads to what we say, how we create our own reality, right? The woman is so trusting in the men that were there doing the chanting, and she believes so much in this power to be able to do this, that you watch it in real time on the sonogram.
Right.
Think.
Yeah. Unbelievable. That gives you an entirely different perspective when you see something like that about, this stuff can really work. Because so much of the stuff we're presented with, it's presented in the abstract, which means we don't necessarily have any direct connection to it. We don't have any experience with it directly, and it's harder to absorb. But when you can see it and watch it happening and experience it in some way, boy, does that make, we talk about proof. That's all the proof that people really want. They want the proof of experiencing it.
Right. So, I mean, my rotator cuff tear, I was in pain for 10 months. Couldn't lift my arm, right, as a karate teacher.
Yeah, you need that.
I had to have my arm in a sling because I'd go to want to use it and I'd be in like extreme pain. I put the sling on to remind me not to use it.
Mm-hmm.
When I decided, I just got this message somehow that I can heal myself.
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 months it was healed.
Wow.
Basically, all I did is through meditation, put that energy of love right in there.
That's cool.
That's why I work with this energy so much, because I know firsthand that it heals.
Yeah.
I had a bone spur, and it was tearing the I forget which one it was, within my rotator cuff. There's a couple of different pieces that could be torn.
Affected, right? Sure.
Yeah, I don't remember which one it was. Anyway, all of a
that,
sudden it's good.
Yeah, that kind of major transition.
It's like, what happened? The bone spur is gone now? Like, like the tear, it just, it's okay? Yeah.
It flies in the face of what we are taught generally by our society, by our culture. Miracles can happen, but they're pretty rare, and you can't count on them, and all that kind of stuff. So we begin to believe that, and we're exposed to it over time. We're brought up with it, so we believe it more and more and more and more. It takes this kind of an event to kind of turn that whole cycle around and say, you know what? All that stuff that I was taught apparently isn't true, because apparently you can get rid of a tumor in 3 minutes. Apparently you can heal a rotator cuff in 2 months. Apparently, in my case, I could heal ligaments in my knees that normally would take 9 months to a year to fix. I could heal them in a week, which I did. Apparently you can actually do this stuff.
So the thing is, if we would talk about those stories more, the belief would be different. Oh, you can go heal yourself.
Yeah.
Go heal yourself. Got something wrong with you? Heal yourself. Yeah, but you can. I just want to look at something because it reminded me of a card.
That would be an interesting way. You know how people say, go blank yourself, get out of here, kind of thing. How about, well, just go heal yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, go heal yourself.
Turn into a positive instead of a negative.
Oh, actually, hold on. I know which card it is. Cow Spirit. There's a card, and let me find it. In this one deck, it talks about miracles are everywhere. Page 46. Maybe it's something that we could end the show with.
Sure. This is actually novel because normally you just randomly draw a card. This time you're going after a particular card. That's different.
Yeah. Oh, actually, it's the miracles are endless.
Miracles are endless. Okay.
And it's the cow spirit. I'd have to find the card. I don't know if I can find it that quick. Okay. It says, so if you were to pick this card, but it's talking about miracles are everywhere, right?
Right.
Miracles are endless. You are at a beautiful point in your life today, for your needs are being met effortlessly in so many ways. Fully embrace this truth by focusing on all you have right now, including the positive relationship that sustains you, the work that you're proud to do to contribute to the world, and the activities that inspire you and nourish your soul. Cow Spirit nudges you to pay attention because this is the perfect time to focus on the choices, actions, and behaviors that you know feed your soul and bring your heart contentment. Now is also the time when you will see many of your projects and commitments that were set in motion in the past begin to yield valuable gifts that will bring you joy and love and sustain you for a long time to come. Now that's another part of this March energy, actually. Things you've been working on, you were struggling to get it going. Now all of a sudden it's going to start taking off. Momentum is going to start backing it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm glad I read that because that reminded me.
Did.
That's part of this March energy. It's part of the 2019 energy, but really starts to take hold in March.
Okay.
Stay positive and share your well-being with others. The more you share, the more you'll manifest. So be generous. Cow Spirit promises you that you will never run out of miracles.
Ooh, that sounds
Then
nice.
the other side to this card, because it's either upright or reversed, and since we didn't actually pick it, I'm going to read both.
Okay.
Okay. So the other side of this card says, Cow Spirit asks you to pay attention to how you nourish your mind, body, and spirit, because right now you're wobbling around like a newborn calf on its unsteady legs. Okay, so for anyone that was feeling that they don't really buy the first part of what I wrote, let's see if they feel this one better.
Okay.
So it says, perhaps you've been spending too much time distracting yourself on the internet or obsessing over a relationship or choosing to eat foods that are not healthy. Whatever it is, you're being nudged to assess how you're looking after your needs. Remember, the universe has a way of reflecting back to you events and conditions that match how you treat yourself. Cow Spirit reminds you that the universe wants to give you the very best, but needs you to do your part to participate and nourish in the well-being. Perfect. That goes along with everything we said earlier, right?
Yep.
So it says, heed her message and everything will shift in your favor. Universe wants to give you everything. The miracles are endless. Just have to line up with it, and you can. You can decide to line up with that energy.
It's a cool card because it does remind us that, it ties into what we talked about at the very beginning. We were talking about that post that kind of rubbed you the wrong way and rubbed me the right way. And we were talking about the perception and how you're going to react to it and so forth. This is basically saying the miracles are there. How are you going to react to it? What are you going to decide to do? What's your response going to be? It's up to you. But what if you decide to kind of buy into it and accept it and let it come, it's going to come in flowing. And I like the fact that you
hold the power. You hold the keys to your own domain. It's you. Everything's a reflection of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's all right. That's all right. So I'm thinking about that in terms of what you just told us about what's happening here in March and April, how it's all the way I heard it. I'm not sure exactly how you said it, but I heard it like there is a gate opening or there's a dam opening, a dam breaking, and all this stuff is starting to flow through now. And it's going to flow through really, really easily.
And energy is shifting.
And when I think about that in the context of I have the power, well, what that really means to me is I have the power. I just have to release so it'll flow.
Right. So then we get into the whole Abraham thing with just going downstream, going with that flow, right?
Going with the flow downstream,
letting it carry you, letting it take you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when we have to surrender. It ties into everything we talked about today. Right? It's like, okay, I'm just gonna let it go. Spirit, take me. If I'm going in the wrong direction, push me into the right direction.
I love it. That's really good.
I trust you. Take me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take me. I'm yours.
Tell me where this is going.
Well, that's the other part too. It's not necessarily even tell me where it's going. I'm ready to find out where it's going.
Yeah, show me.
Yeah, let me see it. I'm ready. Show it to me. Yeah.
Show me.
I like that.
And the thing is, allow it to show up however it shows up. Maybe you get a message in the weirdest of ways, but you're like, ooh, that makes, like when that person said to me, this is a pretty package, but it's not you. I'm like, what? But it was like, ooh, something happened in that phrase that changed my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious, can you remember what that meant to you at that point? I know it kind of shook your ground, so to speak, but do you have any recollection?
It made me realize that I'm not just this body. I am way bigger than that.
Okay. So it was really that direct. That's good.
It made me know that what I am is not this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What I truly am is this energy I didn't understand it the way I understand it now, but it opened the door to like, I'm more than just this body. What is that?
And thus an energy life coach was born.
And that was way, way before I ever came to this stuff. Way before.
Isn't it interesting how that happens? Because when we talked about Richard Bach's book, Illusions. I read Illusions I think that book was written in like the early 1970s. And I read it in like the mid 1970s. And nothing happened for like, 10, 15 years. But it stuck with me until things finally started to happen really in the 90s. And it all kind of came back. It all kind of fit together. So even though it happened way, way back then, it was like it was setting the stage, kind of.
Yep.
For everything else that was happening. Yeah.
It's the egg. It cracks open. You can't put it back together.
Yes, that's true. Poor Humpty.
Something wants to be born, right?
Yep.
So, but I've always been interested in the stuff I'm interested in now, but I didn't look at it maybe the way that I look at it now back then. Mm-hmm. But that was just part of the realizing, the remembering that there's more to it. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're learning every single day all the different ways that there is more to it. And I'm so grateful that I get to have these conversations with people like you so that what I honestly think is happening is you're helping accelerate me. That's what I think is really going on here.
We're accelerating each other.
Well,
because it's a mutual thing, right?
This is true. Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
So I might hear something come through me that I maybe never said before. I'm like, ooh, thank you. That was a good one.
and I find I've talked about this during the previous shows this week a number of times, how I've gotten to the point now where I can, like, we're in the middle of a conversation and we just finished kind of a topic and there's more time left. Where are we going to go with it? And then I'll just I'll open my mouth and wait to see what comes out. I'll just start talking whatever comes to my mind. And it can be a little bit meandering at times, but if I just trust it, a question comes out or a topic comes out. And after it's all done, after I've said it, I kind of look at the other person's or person, depending on how many co-hosts I have for a particular show. And I hope that they've got an answer because I can't repeat what it was I just said. I don't even know for sure what it was that I said. I have to let them talk for a bit to find out what I said. And then I remember, oh yeah, I guess I did say that.
So I'm going to ask you, what was that?
Well, that to me is me tapping into my inner being and letting it come out whatever way it's going to come out without my mind processing it. Channeling, okay.
You're channeling. You're channeling, and the information's coming through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's disorienting at first trying to do it, but it's kind of cool.
Most of my healing sessions, I don't remember everything I've said. I have an idea of what it's all about, but unless I record it, I don't remember everything I said.
Really?
Or unless I'm somehow able to write down some of the notes while this stuff is coming through, I just don't, I don't remember everything that it was.
Do you find that your awareness of what came out, it increases over time, that you become more and more able to hear it as you're doing it?
I always kind of know where I was going and what it was about, but I don't remember everything I did or everything I cleared or everything I downloaded or what, I don't remember details about it. I know it's the same way I learn stuff. Like I know what it's all about, but I can't tell you the details or explain to you everything that just happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
So that makes sense. I never even thought about that before. Because that's basically how I learn.
Very cool. Well, on that note, I think we'll just draw it to a close and say thank you very much. And by the way, Linda, remind people how they find your website. What's the website in case they want to reach out to you as a coach?
Yeah, lovemylife.coach.
That's it. Lovemylife.coach. Very simple.
Very easy.
Okay, well, great. I look forward to talking to you next week. I hope you have a great weekend. And,
thank you.
Keep that energy buzzing because I love these reports that you give us about, oh, wow, the energy's starting to open up in March. I love that. Thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.